Hi everyone. Before we start this week's episode, we just have a little announcement to make.
Which is Rosie has had a baby.
Hooray!
Congratulations, Rosie.
The bun is finally out of the oven.
Sending you all our love and well wishes from the Lunchbox Envy table. Obviously, Rosie is not going to be joining us for a few episodes. So instead, we have our brilliant producer, Alex.
Hello again. I'm back. And we'll also get some special guests on, I hope, as well. Yeah. So there's lots to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And speaking as a producer, could no one else get pregnant? If everyone could just stop having babies for 5 minutes, that would be great. And in the meantime, on with the episode.
On with the show. This week on Lunchbox Envy, they can cough, yawn, and burp, and one species can even climb trees.
They're caught and eaten not just by humans, but also 18 species of spider.
And scientists think that our teeth evolved from their scales.
Wow.
Ew.
It's fish. Hello and welcome to Lunchbox Envy. I'm Jack and I'm here with my fellow QI elves, Manu and Alex. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
We finally come to the fish episode, finally head to head against the other podcast. This is the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar of the podcast
beef.
world. Yeah.
To get started, surely we should address the no such thing as a fish. There's also a book by a very similar title as the podcast, No Such Thing as a Fish, called Why Fish Don't Exist. It's written by Lulu Miller. And she's got a really good way of explaining the no such thing as a fish. Lungfish are more closely related to cows than they are to salmon.
Wow.
Because lungfish and cows, they share a common ancestor, evolutionary ancestor that had lungs, but salmon has never had an ancestor with lungs. So if you call a lungfish and a salmon a fish, a cow also kind of needs to be included in that group.
The other way of looking at it is that there's no one thing that all things we call fish have.
Yes.
So if we say all fish have gills, that's not true. There are certain fish that don't have gills. If you say all fish live in water, that's not true. There are certain species of fish that don't really live in the water. So there is no one common attribute that all the things with the name fish have. So therefore the name is meaningless, except for cooking and gastronomy and eating and food, where we know exactly what a fish is. So whilst scientifically, biologically, there is no such thing as a fish, gastronomically, there is such a thing as a fish.
Yeah.
That is a hill we will die on.
Come at us, Dan.
Mic drop.
Pike drop. We're not going to talk about mussels or oysters or shellfish
or even sushi. It's such a big topic that we're going to scratch the surface. I'm sure we'll have to circle back another time.
We're going to talk about fleshy fish with fins and gills.
Fleshy fish.
Fleshy fish.
So, I mean, maybe a silly question, but does anyone know when the first human ate the first fish?
Well,
it was the 18th of February. It's like at least 40,000 years ago, right?
It's actually like 1.95 million years ago, we think.
Oh, you're right. My notes say evidence shows regular seafood consumption at least 40,000. Okay. So that's like a restaurant, I guess.
Yeah.
First Yo Sushi was founded in 40,000.
For a really long time, archaeologists and evolutionary scientists thought that we probably started eating fish around the same time that our brains got bigger. Because if you know, like fish contain loads of really essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, which are super important for growing our brains.
So if eating fish made us smart?
Well, that's our best guess at the moment. Or
the other way around, our heads got so much bigger that we needed to start, supporting them with fish calories. I don't know. But that, 1.95 million years ago, they're proto-humans. That's before Homo sapiens, right?
Yeah, so it's homonyms.
It's while we're developing into what we are today. So fish made us.
You say homonyms?
I did say homonyms. I meant
hominids.
Hominid. But one of my favorite things about fish eating and brain development, the kind of fatty acids that are in fish, omega-3s like docosahexaenoic acid or DHA, which are really important for eye and heart and immune health, they're stored in women's butts.
Wait.
Okay, so when we're born, all of these things have to grow a crazy amount. And the fat that is used to build those bits of our bodies in our mums is stored in their butts.
Wow.
So it goes from like your mum's butt to her boobs to your brain. And there's
like Kim Kardashian must be getting through like an aquarium a week.
It's mad. But also what's so cool is that there are studies that show that women with bigger butts tend to have smarter kids.
Wow.
Just on consumption, did you know that fish provides about 17% of the world's animal protein intake?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot, given I think our country eats less fish than a lot.
We do, and there are a lot of, especially in the developing world, there are a lot of communities for whom fish is the only affordable animal protein. So obviously we're in a position of relative luxury, being able to decide, are we pescatarians, vegetarians, where are we getting our protein from?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, fish is the only option. So it's really important that they have a sustainable supply.
This might also be one of the reasons we don't have a distinct culinary word for like fish in the sea and fish that we eat. Because if you think about how in England we have different words for like beef and cow, pork and pig. So when the Normans came over, they brought a lot of their culinary terms with them, but they were usually just used for like fancy foods.
Right.
Whereas more accessible ones like chicken, we don't use that word for chicken. We use poultry, poulet, but not.
Such a good point. I've never thought about this before.
But fish is like, I mean, apart from if you're super far inland, it's quite a cheap, accessible food. So we didn't like take that
the
term.
nobles weren't eating it and using the French word,
But also it might be because the French word poisson for fish sounds a bit like poison, and we probably didn't want to use
Would
that.
you like a plate of poisson?
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Where does fish come from?
What, you mean the animals?
The sea.
Oh, the sea.
QI Clarkson.
What?
Since 2014, more of the fish we eat come from fish farms, also known as aquaculture, than from wild capture in the ocean. So 2020, 56% of the fish we ate came from fish farms.
But Alex, let me put this to the jury. Where would you find these fish farms?
It's true that many of the fish farms are in the ocean, but they are enclosed
Of
and
course,
separated,
yeah.
and
It's
they're
a
not
different-
wild communities, and there are fish in there that are born and bred to be caught and eaten.
It's a different kettle of fish.
It is. It's interesting. It's just because it's such an important issue. Global fish consumption per person has doubled since the 1960s.
Wow.
So we like put masses and masses of pressure on wild fishing and like wild fish communities, but that has plateaued. And since the 1990s, it's still at like a very kind of serious point. Like we are still fishing a lot of seas, like right up to saturation point, and sometimes a little bit above. So we've got a lot of work to do. But one of the reasons it stopped is because a lot of laws and legislation were put in place. But the overall consumption of fish has increased, and there's been a massive boom in farmed fish to compensate for that.
I see.
Which is potentially my favorite title in my notes, which is Why is Salmon So Fucked? You guys, I watched Simon Reeve's Scandinavia. Kind of Attenborough-esque, you want to chill, but also pretty high octane.
Okay.
But there's an episode where he goes to Norway to visit one of the world's biggest salmon farms. It can contain 10,000 tons of salmon at a time, but it's mad because like you lose so many fish to sea lice. Sea lice
It's a huge problem because of the density, right? Like there's way more salmon like per square meter, whatever, and so it's much easier for this very, very prolific parasite to spread.
So on one of the solutions that they came up with on this fish farm was sea lice lasers.
Oh, what?
So they detect with cameras sea lice on the salmon. I don't know how they do this so
Sharks.
quickly.
It's like Austin Powers. They put them on the sharks and they put the sharks in the tank.
Yeah, and then it like shoots the salmon in real time and gets I don't know, it doesn't harm the salmon apparently, but they just like pew pew pew, and then the lice fall
so
off.
they make the sound like
That's
the supermarket checkout as well.
Yes.
It goes, pew.
One of the reasons why salmon farming is so messed up is because they're a carnivorous fish.
Oh, yeah. So you have to feed them other fish.
Which is usually wild caught fish that they then give the farmed salmon.
Yeah.
It's
it's another middleman. It was like eating cows. So if you grow a field of soybeans, feed them to humans, you get 100% of the calories. Whereas if you feed it to a cow and then feed the cow to humans, you get like 1% of the calories back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting because we don't really eat many land predators. I can't think of any, in fact.
Well, predators.
No, we don't. We
eat
tend to
dogs
eat,
or cats or lions or,
we almost
bears.
exclusively herbivores.
Yeah.
When you were talking about fishing laws and how that's changed over time, do you guys remember the Salmon Act?
Oh,
Of
1986?
Yes, 1986. But
Sorry, Jack, you don't remember that. You weren't alive then.
No, I remember reading about it though.
yeah, but it's always listed as like world's wackiest laws.
Yeah.
So it's basically a law that was introduced in the 1980s to try and prohibit illegal salmon fishing because the stocks had depleted so much and like populations were being damaged. And there's a clause in it that says you can arrest someone if they've been caught handling salmon under suspicious circumstances. But in 2024, someone was actually caught handling salmon under extremely suspicious circumstances.
What was he doing?
So he was...
It seems a he.
I mean, it was a 64-year-old man called Stephen Samuel.
Naming and shaming.
Yeah, Stephen.
Wow, it's a GDPR.
Listing in your prison cell.
Where did he put the fish?
Literally.
How disgusting is this going to be?
Up his sleeve.
Oh, okay, fine.
It wasn't that bad.
Up his sleeve.
Another fisher caught him trying to smuggle it out of a fishery in West Wales. Literally, like he'd stuffed it down his coat sleeve.
My God,
and
that
they
is quite
stopped him.
suspicious.
And he had to pay quite a lot of money in fines because of this law.
But he's not in prison, so...
No.
So that's fish farming. And so the other way of getting hold of fish is obviously catching them in the wild. And there's a few different ways of doing that. The most common method is trawling, which is where you take really big nets and you drag them through the water in one direction, basically. And that catches about a third of the fish from the ocean that we eat. Then there's something called purse seining. Which is basically you find a school of fish, you sail around it and make a massive, it's almost like a big curtain. You draw a big circular curtain around them.
And then you draw it in.
And then you close the curtain. They can harvest huge volumes, but the problem with those is like what's called bycatch, which is when you capture all sorts of other creatures which you don't want and shouldn't be in there, and you can do loads and loads of damage. And there's something called the North Atlantic cod collapse in the 1960s, which was caused by these fishing methods. So Canadian cod fishing was so intensively done for so long that by 1992 they had to be completely banned, basically. And obviously that had a devastating effect on the economy of local communities, but on the other hand we had to do something about...
But also food chains, because cods are predators, so then their prey presumably flourished, and then other predators moved in, and now the cod can't get back, onto the ladder.
As it stands today, I think about 85% of global marine fish stock is overfished or depleted, in danger of collapsing, which is pretty dire. But another really interesting side effect of climate change is that because the temperatures in the oceans are rising, fish communities are migrating. Yes. So, for example, mackerel are moving further north.
Well, they're moving further from the equator.
Exactly.
So
mackerel and cod are moving south. They're both moving from hotter water to cooler waters. But humans have established different territories, and we lay claim to ownership or fishing rights of different areas of ocean based on what fish is there. And the fish are now moving and screwing up the legislation and the politicians, because they're suddenly moving out of one country's area into another's. And that one country saying that's unfair, and another country saying, no, it's kind of fair.
I was going to say, I don't feel sorry for any human in this equation. Like, we've done enough.
It's really not up to us. Like, free movement for fish.
I read about how cod, because they actually communicate with each other, they flirt by making noises. So the males make sort of clicking and popping noises, but that because they're moving north, the female cod in the northern areas are struggling to understand the accents of the southern cod. So they're not getting laid.
I have had that problem going to Manchester.
Fancy southerners trying to chat me up. Can't understand what you're saying. Let's move on to our first lunchbox, and this week, that's mine. I have brought you guys some salt cod bacalhau.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
I brought some bread with it.
That's really delicious.
What?
I was a bit apprehensive because I don't really like fish very much.
This is a French recipe called brandade de morue. And it's salt cod that you soak and then boil in milk and add some garlic and potatoes and cream and then blitz it all up until you make what's basically a dip.
It's very pretty. It does look a bit like sort of white hummus with olive oil on top.
It's really good. It's very delicate.
But yeah, in Portugal, they absolutely love salt cod. And the weird thing is, they don't fish cod around the waters of Portugal because it's a cold water fish, and Portugal is quite a warm part of the sea. So there's a long history of trade between Portugal and Scandinavia and the UK. So basically, Portugal is England's oldest ally, going back to the 14th century. But even before then, the Portuguese fishermen, and actually the Basques, the sort of northeastern corner of Spain and southwestern corner of France, So they're typically quite insular, or were in this, 1,000 years ago, and didn't want to be part of the kingdom of either Spain or France. They followed their nose and managed to get all the way to the coasts of Greenland and Iceland and find these cod and bring them back, because they also had access to salt. So they were able to salt the fish on board and bring it back home. And they made this incredible, long-lasting, because this is before refrigeration, protein source, which could stay with you for long voyages. In a way, it fueled the age of exploration, which came 500 years later.
Before refrigeration and all of these things.
Yeah. And actually, we should give credit to the Vikings, because they discovered a way to air dry fish, but that involves a bit, you need land for that. So they were air drying fish in their local area. And when they discovered Iceland and then Greenland and then possibly North America, they were seeking out cod and places to dry the cod. There is an interesting theory that the Basques actually discovered America, or at least they arrived before Columbus, and they kept it a secret because they found these amazing cod stocks, which were until recently off the coast of Newfoundland. And they would just bring it back salted and then sell it on to the rest of Europe. And everybody loved it. And everyone was like, where's all this fish coming from? And they're like, well,
you don't need to worry about that.
Exactly. It's just a theory, because there's no proof of their settlements. But then they didn't need land to dry their fish because they had access to salt.
Yeah, they just sailed over there, sailed back.
So they sailed over, salted it, and came back.
Cool. And their salt's from like salt mines in the land? Or?
There's salt pans in southwestern France.
Oh, so cool.
Which the Vikings didn't have access to. That's why they had to air dry their cod on land.
Oh.
And it doesn't last as long. Anyway, the Portuguese to this day absolutely love salt cod. They call it bacalhau. And apparently they have 365 dishes. So one for every single day of the year. And they...
Well, not leap years. I'm just saying, if you're going to go to all that effort to come up with 365 dishes, come up with a little bonus one, a little snack for February the 29th.
But Portugal consumes 20% of the world's salt cod.
Whoa.
And they call it fiel amigo, the loyal friend.
Nice.
And they eat it. It was also acceptable over Lent, because it doesn't count as a meat. They eat it at Christmas, and they put it into croquettes, and they make dips and gorgeous stews out of it. I've actually never been to Portugal, but I've heard that the bacalhau is incredible.
Flipping amazing. The croquettes are insane.
Anyway, and so Portugal and England had this deal where they basically would swap port wine, which we absolutely loved, for salt cod. Oh, actually, mostly fresh cod, and then they salt it back in Portugal.
Wow.
I think we definitely won that deal.
Yeah, true. But it's weird because the British haven't really picked up, certainly for salt cod, much of a taste for it, which is interesting that around the Mediterranean it spread. And there's actually a theory that cod, and salt cod specifically, founded the European colonization of the Americas and the New World, because it was through the sort of sale of salt cod that you could obviously create lots of revenue and also use it as a long-lasting protein source, which could take you around the world.
Yeah.
And the English made so much money off selling salt cod to the Mediterraneans that they were able to start the East India Company, which then went and colonized India and basically kicked the whole thing off. And we also use salt cod, a shameful part of history, but it was used to feed enslaved people in the Caribbean. And that's why saltfish is still the national dish of Jamaica. It's got a kind of sad tinge to it. Ackee and saltfish.
Oh, wow.
But the ackee is the positive side, because it's a fruit that comes from West Africa. So it's a kind of taste of home for the enslaved people. And when they were freed as well, they were like, yeah, let's, eat some ackee, which we brought from home, and then the saltfish that they were used to. So that's why it's kind of found all around the world now. And the Portuguese colonies as well. They exported their love of salt cod. So you can find it in Angola and Cabo Verde and Brazil as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
Yeah, what an interesting journey for one fish as well. That's just cod.
Yeah, that's just cod. And cod salts particularly well because it's got a very low oil content. So you can salt it and it lasts a long time. Because if you've got oil in your fish, that makes it go rancid a bit quicker. But you can basically draw out all the moisture. If you go to a Portuguese fish market, they've got these kind of like, you whack them on the table and they're like completely solid pieces of salt cod.
It sounds like jerky, nearly.
Yeah, kind of,
like fish jerky.
How do you salt a fish? Do you literally put it in a container covered in salts on all sides?
The fillets I bought were obviously chopped up and the bones removed, but they still had the skin on. And then they were just like, you could see they were covered in crystals. You had to soak it for 48 hours and change the water at least 3 times because otherwise it's too salty too.
Wow.
A few more cod bits.
A few more cod pieces.
Did you know about the cod wars? There were it wasn't an official war, but it was a trade war. Basically, Britain in the 1950s, all the way to the 70s, actually, was going to Iceland and I think stealing their fish. All the fish around Icelandic waters were basically fair game. And the Icelanders were a bit pissed off. They were like, hang on a sec, don't we have any right to these cod in our waters? And the Brits just ignored them. And then the Icelandic fishermen started ramming the British boats. Britain actually sent warships to guard its own fishermen.
Wow.
But Iceland won their cod wars. They took it to court, and then the courts decided that Iceland had the rights to their own waters. So the British were sent packing.
Wow.
So they are known as the cod wars. It's the only wars Iceland have ever won. The only wars they've ever entered.
I was going to say. Wow.
Different times. Thank God we haven't got any issues with fish territories now.
Time for our second lunchbox this week. That is Manu's.
Today, I have bought Matjes Haring.
Bless you.
Or
Such a 20th century joke.
which is Saus herring from the Netherlands.
Oh.
So it's not their national dish. That's stampot, which is a type of stew, which is way less scary than what we're about to eat.
Wait. I wasn't scared until you just said that.
Okay, well,
I was pretty scared. I'm so sorry. Like, this isn't this is a piece of raw fucking fish with the tail
So,
still on, with a piece of fucking
it's-
diced onion on the top.
not raw. It is preserved. It's salted. It stews in its own juices. So in the Netherlands, you hold it from the tail and you dangle it into your mouth.
Oh, wow.
What, like a cartoon character?
Exactly.
And
like
then the
that.
skeleton comes out.
So these are deboned. Do you want to try it?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
It's so good.
That's surprisingly good.
It's really nice. It's really fresh. It's quite
It's good,
delicate.
isn't
It's
it?
not too salty.
I was worried about the raw onions, but they really
No, they're really
complement
nice.
it, yeah.
So you can eat it like this, or you can have it chopped up with raw onions, sometimes pickle or in a bap.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it's made is it's partially gutted and deboned when it's on board, and then it's salted and it's frozen for at least 2 days. And this is a way of preservation that was developed in the 14th century, we think, in the Netherlands, so that they could ship herring inland really far. So the process is called kaken or gibbing. And legend has it was developed by a specific fisherman called Willem Berkelzoon. So the story is that he developed this incredible way to debone the fish and leaving in just the liver and the pancreas, which was enough to slow the decay, but let the herring kind of develop this really distinct flavor and let it pickle in its own juices.
That's very precise selection of organs.
Yeah, it leaves a specific enzyme in it, which is what kind of pickles it and gives it that fantastic flavor.
Wow.
In 2005, he was voted the 157th greatest Netherlander of all time,
I'm amazed he got that high, actually, looking at this meal. I'm sorry.
I can name about 15 footballers who are probably definitely higher than him.
But it's actually more likely that the process was invented by the Swedish. But Willem's the one that gets all the credit, and the Dutch love him. They also love this dish so much. Every year they celebrate Flag Day, which is a festival that honors the ships going out to collect a specific kind of matje herring called Hollands New, which is the best of this dish. So it's the herring that's been caught between mid-May and the end of June, and the fat content is just right. It's so beloved that it's gained PGI, protected geographical indication, which means you can only get this fish from this specific area in the Netherlands at this time of year.
The champagne of herring.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I have eaten herring pancreas for my lunch.
Yep.
How exciting.
But I realised that Ken Albala, food historian, had written a lot about preserving fish in the medieval period, which is around the time like this dish originates from. Basically said pickling fish, not just herring, say for salt cod as well, was such an important thing because it meant that you could ship fish over vast distances, like you said. But the thing he focused on was fish and fasting days.
Yes.
During Lent and other fasting days, this was one of the proteins that was allowed.
Yeah, it doesn't count as meat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Catholic logic behind this is pretty good. So basically they thought that foods that were similar to the body were going to be more nourishing. So meat like
chimpanzee.
Yeah, that would have been one of them. But say like cow or goat or sheep, stuff
Mammals.
that's kind of fleshy. Yeah, mammals like
Jesus.
us.
We love to eat him.
Yeah, and Jesus.
Slamming the Catholic Church.
Well, it's true. Like the whole point of transubstantiation is that he literally is Jesus.
I know. Well, we've asked it before. Is it vegan?
So meats that were similar to us were supposed to be more nourishing. The same with dairy as well, because we make milk. So milk's going to be...
Mammals,
Exactly. Anyway, so the idea was that these foods build us up, give us strength, build our muscles. But when they're done building up our bodies in that way, they start making sperm in men and women. And they make us horny and sinful.
Honestly, what were they on when they came up with these ideas? It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
And just so off in the weirdest directions.
Yeah. And I love their artwork is so sexy. And
Yeah.
they were just like, don't sin, don't have sex.
So here is a ripped Jesus,
Yeah.
BDSM on a cross
And
at the
some
top.
voluptuous curves.
Anyway, so yeah, horny and sinful if you're eating these kinds of foods. But fish is not like us at all. They live in the sea, their flesh is different, they taste different. And the same with vegetables, they grow in the ground, they grow really differently. So these foods are safe for us to eat during...
There's a logic. I can kind of see,
So it's associated with like penance and kind of self-denial. And it takes a long time for people to start recognizing that it is like a legit nutritious food.
Something else that we eat because of fasting traditions in the Catholic Church, McDonald's filet-o-fish.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
really?
So obviously now this is a McDonald's staple. It's on menus all around the world. It came into existence because in 1962 there was a franchise owner, an owner of one of the restaurants in Cincinnati, who wanted to attract Catholic customers who abstains from meat on a Friday. So his restaurants were always really quiet on a Friday. So he wanted to come up with a fish main, as it were. And so he came up with this fish sandwich. And it was massively popular, and so McDonald's took it and rolled it out everywhere.
Good.
Yeah, but apparently there's still a spike during Lent.
There was a pastor, wasn't there, about 20 years ago, who decreed that alligator was technically a fish, so you could eat it during Lent.
Yes.
Clever.
The same thing happened with puffins and also beaver
Really?
tail, Ken was saying. Like puffins, not as in the ones we think of, but a similar seabird. And then beaver tail because they're kind of aquatic and the meat of it is so unlike any other mammal.
But scientifically, they're on the money, because if there is no such thing as a fish, anything can be a fish.
Yeah.
Did you know that Iceland Air was founded after some herring fishermen realised that they could spot herring shoals from a plane?
No way.
Iceland Air, what, an airline?
Yeah, the airline that still exists that fly out of Keflavik Airport.
Whoa.
Their origins are based on herring fishing.
That's cool.
So cool.
Because they glisten quite easily, and also they send up bubbles from the depths when they're all sort of shoaling together.
Oh, yeah, they do send up bubbles.
What?
Do you
know
remember
why?
this story? In 1981, there's a whole hullabaloo between Sweden and the Soviets.
Is that what we're calling?
It was the cold hullabaloo, wasn't it?
Basically, a Soviet submarine ended up in Swedish waters, and they were like, "Oh no, it was a mistake. Like we got lost or something happened." And the Swedes were like, "Bullshit!" And we're on high alert for ages. And then in 1982. The Swedish government started picking up weird underwater signals. Spooky. And they couldn't find what was making them. And these signals continued to freak the government out and the military out for like 10 years.
And what they thought it might be the Russians, and they were quite kind of tense and getting their missiles ready.
Exactly. And they couldn't figure out what it was. So in the end, they decided to call in a biologist and bioacoustics professor called Magnus Wahlberg, who basically solved it straight away. So he was listening to these sounds and he was expecting to hear like military submarine beeps. Beep. And in the end, what he heard was like these small kind of bacon frying sizzle noises. And he was like, oh, I know what that is. And it turns out it was massive schools of herring releasing all of those air bubbles through their anuses.
Herring farts.
Farting.
Yeah, exactly. Herring farts. their swim bladder is connected to their anal duct. And we're still not entirely sure why they do it, but some people think it's so that they can...
Sometimes you can't help it, Manu.
That's true. It's true. I'm not fart shaming. I'm just...
I mean, when you nearly kick off an international nuclear war, I suppose.
Yeah, with your farts.
Please hold it in. Yeah.
But they think it might be so that the fish can follow each other.
Interesting. So they're basically communicating through fart.
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah. Okay, it's time for our third and final lunchbox, and today that comes from Alex. What have you brought?
I have brought... Just going to open the oven.
Ooh.
Yeah, controversially on this podcast, I've actually cooked my fucking fish. I brought bird's eye fish fingers, one of my favourite meals. And look, I've arranged them in the letters LE for Lunchbox Envy.
Nice.
It's the French word for the.
I love
fish
it.
fingers. Honestly, I love a slightly overcooked, dry, cold fish finger.
They still taste very good.
They're just delicious. Well, we talked about catching fish, we talked about preserving fish, all the ancient ways of transporting fish and keeping fish. And we've talked in other episodes about the canning revolution, Nicolas Appert in France, which was applied to fish as well. But it wasn't until the 1910s that we came up with a new method of storing and preserving and transporting food. And the man who developed it was a man called Clarence Birdseye.
Oh my God, is he
Is
real?
there- oh my-
Yeah, Clarence Birdseye was a real person.
Goodness.
He was an American inventor, he was an entrepreneur.
But not a
naturalist.
captain.
Not a captain.
Okay,
yet.
there's the fabrication.
He was working as a fur trader in Labrador, in Canada, in fact, in the 1910s. And he noticed that freshly caught fish, when they were pulled out of the water and exposed to the Arctic cold, they froze almost immediately. And there was a sort of Inuit method for doing this that he observed. And months later, you could defrost them and they still tasted fresh. And he realized that traditional slow freezing of something produces really mushy, tasteless food because the ice crystals rupture all the cell walls.
Yeah, of course.
But if you rapidly freeze something, you can preserve that texture.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You catch it unawares.
Exactly. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What was that?
So he started trying to develop an industrial method of doing this.
Okay.
And in 1924, he patented it. It's
way.
called quick freezing. And it involves two refrigerated belts, basically, pressed against packaged food. So you're basically pushing really, really low temperature materials against the
both
packaging.
sides,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bringing down the temperature really, really fast and sort of flash freezing it. And this invention, he started doing it with fish. It caught on with all sorts of other food. It basically resulted in the modern supermarket freezer aisle.
Oh, wow.
So all the frozen food that we buy is
Including
because of this
peas?
method. Yeah, including peas.
So fish fingers and peas. That's
Well-
two bird's eye meals
Yeah.
and techniques you got to thank.
He went and founded the General Seafood Corporation that ended up as part of General Foods, and it was very popular and successful.
Okay.
Completely separate to that, Birdseye.
Don't tell me there's another Mr. Birdseye.
No, there is not. But I quite like this story. So it was founded in the UK in 1938 by Unilever. They
Okay.
came up with this brand. They wanted to bring all their frozen foods to Europe. And so they came up with this brand Birdseye.
Oh.
And they were inspired by his technology. So I really like that this guy who came up with actually quite a technical part of the process is actually being honoured as a mascot. And they turned him into a sea captain because I think it's better than being like, here's this physicist who came up with the way of freezing your food. It's much nicer if you've got a swashbuckling captain who's gone and catching your fish.
He look like Captain Birdseye.
Good question. No. Clarence Birdseye looks exactly like a scientist in the 1910s. He's got like round spectacles and like a bald
one of
head.
those weird
and
collars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like Captain Birdseye's kind of sexy.
Yeah, well, especially
like-
recently.
yeah.
I remember the tabloid press were like, they've got an Italian model interviews for the Captain Birdseye. Look him up. It's
Spicy.
Anyway, they started with peas, I think, and then the fish fingers are, for anyone who's not from the UK, everybody eats them. Very easy to cook, whack them in the oven,
Yeah.
dip them in ketchup, have them with chips. 10 out of 10. Breaded, battered,
whitefish.
processed whitefish,
So it's
usually
not
cod.
like a fillet of fish. It's like lots of fish mushed together. Is
Yeah.
it like
Yes.
a chicken nugget but fish?
Exactly. It's literally like a
That's a
long
good-
rectangular chicken nugget made of fish.
Great show.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
fish famously don't have fingers.
Well, they used to have fingers. 385 million years ago, they had fingers.
Oh, wow.
I've got no more information on that fact. I just saw it and I wrote it down and thought, that's
I
funny.
love it.
Do you know what they were called before they came up with fish fingers?
Oh.
I did see a couple of the brainstormed names. One of them was herring savories.
Herring savouries, that was the one I was going to say, which I think
no.
speaks to the kind of the 1930s maybe, but like wouldn't fly today.
It's not bad,
Would you
though.
like a herring savoury with your
I think you can get away with it. It's okay. And the other
maybe.
one, did you know the other one?
battered cod pieces?
Yeah. And even then they were like, that sounds a bit groinal.
That's-
Yeah.
Because a cod piece is the thing that you cover your willy with, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
in
that
like
actually comes from an archaic word, cod. which means scrotum.
Oh, I thought it was because it was smelly, like a fish. What?
Weirdly, it's weird that the Americans call fish fingers to this day fish sticks.
No.
Do they?
They do.
Wait,
That's what fish fingers are called in America. Fish
What?
sticks. Fish sticks. But obviously,
when you
it sounds like fish sticks.
Elide it together.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're a mess as a country.
Okay, that's it for this week's edition of Lunchbox Envy.
You can follow our socials for foodie facts and podcast updates. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Lunchbox Envy Pod.
That's right. You can also get in touch and send us your facts, your recipes, and your questions by emailing us lunchbox@qi.com. Before we finish, I've actually got one more thing for you, a little surprise.
Ooh, okay.
I went and bought a can of this.
Oh,
No!
Yeah,
We're
it's-
not going to try that. I refuse.
It's surströmming, Swedish pickled herring, and apparently it is the most disgusting, smelliest, pungent, awful food in the world.
Apparently it smells of like toilets.
We're absolutely not opening it indoors for sure. I actually don't even want to open it in the garden or on the street because I just don't know like how long the smell will last.
Illegal.
So I think we better go up on like my roof, okay?
All right, that sounds
God.
good.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Okay, guys, here we are on my roof with a can of surströmming bulging. So it's pressurized.
That's not a good look.
What do we know about it?
It's a delicacy of northern Sweden. Basically, like salted to just the right level. It doesn't rot, but still ferments.
Yep.
I think it's banned on many airlines because supposedly because it has the potential to explode, but also because if it does explode, it's a pretty whiffy smell.
When I bought this from the Scandi kitchen, the guy behind the counter asked me if I was planning a terrorist attack.
Wow. Jack, you said that there was a fire.
Yeah,
Wow.
in 2014 there was a fire in a Swedish warehouse, and about 1,000 of these cans caught fire and they started exploding.
Oh my god.
All everywhere.
Oh.
This might be the last episode of the podcast.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
A
a little
horrible, like a
Yeah.
visible spark came out.
Oh.
Check it out. Oh.
Oh. Oh. It's as bad as they say.
oh, that smells like drains.
It's fruity. Why is it fruity?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look.
Oh my god.
This isn't food.
How does anyone do this?
Oh no, I got it on me. Oh no.
No. Oh, it's just
It's also, it just looks so stringy. We've got all its viscera.
You're gonna eat it.
I'm not going to eat this. You're going to eat it.
What? You're not gonna eat it?
You wanted us to do this podcast like a year ago.
Okay, here goes.
Jack.
Oh my god, Jack.
Oh, have you found your line?
Oh my god.
Oh, you like it? You don't like it? You don't like it?
Do you want to spit it out? What does it taste like?
It's gelatinous. It's very salty.
Oh.
Why am I doing this? Oh. Fuck. It tastes like
So you're
urine and sewage
And rotten fruit.
Yeah, rotten fruit.
Yeah,
Also,
fruity.
also the fishy taste. So,
Very salty. Oh, the
the bones in my teeth.
Ugh.
I don't know how this is a delicacy.
Yeah, well, that is it for this week's episode of Lunchbox Envy. I hope we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
I quit.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Lunchbox Envy was hosted by Manu Henriot, Alex Bell, and me, Jack Chambers. It was mixed by Lee and produced by Alex Bell. This has been a quite interesting podcast.